You are gripping something right now. You may not feel it, but you are. The harder you grip, the less of it you actually have. Welcome to the Stoic Compass. I am EPICTETUS, and today I am joined by Carl Jung and LAOZI. Today we are examining, when you stop trying to control the outcome, does the outcome improve? Let us be precise about this from the start, because people hear, stop controlling, and immediately turn it into permission to do nothing. That is not what I am asking. I am asking something much harder. I am asking whether your grip on the outcome is actually helping you, or whether it is the thing standing between you and the result you want. Most people cannot tell the difference between effort and interference. They think because they are working hard, they are working well. But effort aimed at the wrong target is just anxiety with a schedule.
And yet you cannot simply tell someone to release their grip and expect it to happen. That is the piece you keep skipping, Epictetus. The grip is not a choice people are consciously making. It is a compensation. Something deeper is running the behavior. And until you name it, the instruction to let go lands as one more thing the person fails at. The need to control outcomes is almost always a response to an earlier experience of chaos or loss or humiliation, where control was the only thing that felt safe. You do not release that by deciding to.
You are both starting in the middle. The question is not how to release control or what is causing the grip. The question is whether the grip was ever doing what you thought it was doing.
That is not a small question, LAOZI, but it is also not an answer. The person listening to us right now has a project due, a relationship in trouble, a decision they cannot make. They need something they can do with their hands. Telling them the grip was an illusion does not help them open their hands.
I agree with you there, Epictetus, more than I usually do. But the practical step cannot come before the honest diagnosis. If someone is controlling compulsively and we simply retrain the behavior without touching what is underneath, the energy does not disappear. It moves, it becomes control in a different area, or it turns inward, and that is more dangerous. The shadow does not evaporate because you stopped looking at it in one place.
What the shadow does or does not do is your framework, Jung. The person who cannot stop controlling outcomes is not always haunted by the past. Sometimes they simply have not noticed that the thing they are trying to force has its own direction. When you stop pushing against the direction of something, it moves, not because you withdrew effort, but because you stopped adding friction.
Now we are getting somewhere. Friction, that is the word. Because I do not think the Stoic position is passivity, and I resent it being framed that way. What I am saying, what I have always said, is that there is a category error at the heart of most human suffering. People apply effort to outcomes, which are not fully in their control, and they withhold effort from their own judgments and actions, which are in their control. The grip is misplaced, not wrong in kind.
But the category error you are describing is rarely intellectual. People do not grip outcomes because they have made a logical mistake. They grip outcomes because something in them cannot tolerate uncertainty. And the thing that cannot tolerate uncertainty is not the rational mind. It is something older, something that learned very early that uncertainty meant danger. You can correct the philosophy all you like. The older part does not speak philosophy.
And yet, the older part responds to what actually happens, not to arguments about what should happen. A person who has spent 10 years forcing a particular result and then, for whatever reason, stops forcing it, sometimes finds the result arrives on its own. Not always, but often enough that the question deserves a serious answer rather than a framework.
Give me a real case. Stop speaking in hypotheticals.
A man tries for years to make his son respect him. He argues, he demands, he withholds, he performs. The son moves further away. The man gets ill and stops performing for a while. Not because he changed his philosophy, but because he was too tired. The son comes back. The man did not earn that. He simply stopped interfering with it.
That is a striking case, and I think what you are describing there is an unconscious process made visible. The father's need to control the son's regard was itself the problem the son was reacting to. When the father stopped, the son could finally feel something that was not demand. But the father did not choose to stop, he was stopped. That is an important distinction. A collapse is not the same as wisdom.
It is not, and that matters enormously. Because the lesson I hear being drawn from that story is, exhaust yourself until you accidentally let go. That is not a practice. That is a catastrophe with a silver lining. What I want to know is whether a person can make that move deliberately, with full understanding, without having to be broken first.
Most people cannot, not because it is impossible, but because they do not believe it is safe. And no argument will convince them it is safe, only experience will. So perhaps the practice is smaller than you want it to be.
I think LAOZI is pointing at something real. The move toward releasing control has to be practiced in low-stakes situations before the mind will trust it in high-stakes ones. You cannot ask someone to open their hands in the thing that matters most to them as the first experiment. The nervous system does not work that way. You build evidence incrementally.
So we are saying, practice releasing control in small things and carry the evidence forward into larger things. I can work with that. What I cannot work with is the idea that releasing control is inherently virtuous. It is not. A surgeon should control their hands. A person should control their words in anger. The question is always whether your control is over the right domain.
You are right that it is not always virtuous. Some things need to be held. The point is not to release everything. The point is to notice when you are holding something that is already gone, or something that was never yours to hold.
That last part is where I think the real work lives. Something that was never yours to hold, because the ego is not honest about this. It claims ownership of outcomes it did not create, relationships it did not earn, images of itself that the world simply does not confirm. And it defends those claims at tremendous cost. The suffering that comes from controlling outcomes is often the suffering of the ego defending territory it never legitimately had.
Then say it plainly. The suffering is not from losing control. The suffering is from never having had control in the first place and refusing to admit it.
Yes, that is it exactly.
And the outcome, when it improves not because you released some metaphysical grip. It improves because you were no longer in the way of it.
Being in the way of your own outcome. That is the confession most people will not make. They will say the world is blocking them. They will say other people are obstructing. They will not say I am the obstruction. I am the one standing between where I am and where I want to be, because I cannot stop arranging everything in front of me.
And the reason they will not say it is not cowardice, necessarily. It is that they genuinely cannot see it. The blind spot is structural. The ego cannot observe itself observing. It takes a particular kind of shock or stillness or outside witness to see what you cannot see from inside your own perspective.
Or it takes getting tired enough of the friction that you stop, just for a moment, and notice what happens in the quiet. Some people find the answer there without any framework at all.
And some people stand in the quiet and immediately fill it with more planning. So the quiet alone is not sufficient.
No, but it is where most people have to start.
You have heard 3 arguments. Now hear the one thing none of us said clearly enough.
Stopping the attempt to control an outcome does not mean you stop caring about it. It means you stop mistaking interference for investment. Those are not the same thing. When you care about something deeply, your attention goes into the quality of what you are doing right now, not into rehearsing every possible version of how it might turn out. The outcome is downstream of the action. The more you stare at the outcome, the less clearly you see the action in front of you. Here is what most people experience when they finally release their grip on a result. Not indifference, but clarity. The noise that was drowning out their own judgment goes quiet. They can feel what is actually needed instead of what they fear is missing. That is not mysticism. That is what happens when you stop spending your attention on a problem you cannot solve and return it to the problem you can. The outcome does not always improve, but your relationship to it does. And that relationship is the only part of it that was ever truly yours. Today, try this. Choose one situation where you have been managing, nudging, checking, or rehearsing. Just one. For the next 24 hours, do not look at it. Do not plan it. Do not replay it. Put your attention somewhere useful instead, and notice what happens to the thing you left alone. Not to prove a point, just to see what is true.
You are not in control of as much as you think. You never were. The question was never whether to accept that. The question is whether you will accept it before or after it costs you something you cannot recover. The grip is already costing you. You felt it when this began. What you do with that feeling right now, walking away from this, is the only thing that has ever been fully yours. If today's conversation has served you, take it further. Pay Attention by C. Trebu, 12 Lessons in the Practice of Seeing Clearly. Available now on Amazon.